It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend, just me, the woods, and the quiet escape of my cabin. No emails, no meetings, just some time to unplug. I had rented the place out for the week, but decided to come back a day early, hoping to enjoy one. Last night alone, before heading back to the chaos of everyday life, the drive up the winding mountain road was calm, the kind of calm that makes you start to relax before you even arrive. But that peace didn't last long. As I pulled up to the cabin, something felt ... off. The porch light was on, even though I clearly remembered turning everything off when I left. My stomach dropped a little, and I immediately slowed down. First, I thought maybe someone was playing a prank. Or maybe it was just my imagination. But then, I noticed the curtains in the living room window were drawn shut something. I never do. That's when the real twist started to unfold. Just as I stepped out of my car, ready to check inside, a sheriff's cruiser came tearing up the dirt road, lights flashing. Out stepped Karen, yes, that kind of Karen from the neighboring property. She pointed right at me like she'd caught a criminal red-handed. Apparently, she had called the cops thinking I was some stranger breaking in. She was so sure of herself, so loud, so certain she was the hero in this story. But then, the door creaked open and someone stepped out. Not me, not Karen. Someone else. You won't believe who was inside my cabin that night. The expression on Karen's face, priceless. But the story behind it, well, let's just say things weren't what they seemed. Stick around, because what happened next turned a simple misunderstanding into something much bigger. The man who stepped out of my cabin looked just as stunned as I felt. He froze for a second, holding what looked like a mug in one hand. He wasn't dressed like a thief. He wore jeans, a hoodie, and slippers, like someone who'd been comfortably living there for days. Karen's voice went from smug to confused. In seconds, "Who is that?" she yelled, practically marching up toward the porch. Still convinced this was all somehow about her. The deputy looked between me, Karen, and the stranger like he'd just walked into a soap opera. I tried to explain that I owned the rental, had come back early, and had no idea who this guy was. Karen cut me off halfway, waving her arms like she was running the investigation. "He's lying. I saw him sneak around back. I called this in because I care about our neighborhood." But none of this made sense. I hadn't rented the place out again after I left. I had double-checked the schedule myself. So how did this guy get in? And why was he acting like he belonged there? He finally spoke, his voice calm but clearly nervous. "I thought this place was empty. My friend told me I could crash here for a few days while he was out of town." I stared at him. What friend? He gave a name I didn't recognize. Now the questions were piling up fast. Had someone hacked the listing? Was the property manager involved? Or was this guy just another victim in a bigger scam? Karen, of course, was no help. She kept talking over everyone, convinced she'd save the day. But it was clear whatever was going on, this wasn't some harmless mix-up. And as the deputy asked the man to step aside for questioning, I caught a glimpse of something inside. The cabin that made my heart pound harder. Something was definitely wrong. The second I stepped inside the cabin, the air felt different like. The place had been lived in, but not by someone careful. My blankets were in a pile on the floor. A half-eaten sandwich sat on the counter. And there was an unfamiliar duffel bag pushed halfway under the couch. Whoever this guy was, he hadn't just stayed here, he had moved in. And not like someone who made an honest mistake. This felt off. I looked back at the guy, still talking to the deputy outside. He seemed nervous, sure, but something about him wasn't lining up. I snapped a few photos of the mess, the duffel, the sandwich, just in case. Then I noticed something else. My backup cabin keys, the ones I always kept in a small tin on the top shelf, were gone. Either someone had found them, or someone gave them to him. That's when I remembered the last renter. He left a day before. Me. Said everything went fine. I barely glanced at the security camera footage back then, assuming all was normal. But now, I was wondering, had he copied the key? Was he behind this? While I searched the cabin for anything else unusual, Karen's voice kept echoing in from outside. She was now accusing the man of being part of a criminal ring targeting vacation homes, as if she were starring in some true crime show. The deputy was doing his best to ignore her, but she was loud enough to keep everyone on edge. Then I opened the hall closet and froze. Inside was a laptop that wasn't mine, still powered on, with a sticky note on the screen that read, "Don't delete anything, wait for me." I didn't touch it. I just backed away slowly, realizing whatever this guy was doing here, it wasn't random, and it definitely wasn't just a favor from a friend. I stood there staring at that laptop, heart racing, my mind trying to make sense of it all. Who was this guy really? And why would someone leave a message like that on a computer hidden in my cabin? It didn't feel like some squatter situation anymore. It felt planned. I didn't want to touch anything, but curiosity had a way of creeping in. I leaned just close enough to see the screen. A folder was open, hundreds of files, images, documents, and what looked like surveillance footage. Some of it even had timestamps from inside the cabin during the days I wasn't there. A chill ran through me. Had someone been watching me? Then I heard the door creak. The stranger was back inside, escorted by the deputy, both looking uneasy. I glanced at Karen outside, still pacing like she ran the entire county. The deputy noticed the laptop too. His expression tightened, and he asked, "Did you touch anything?" I shook my head. The guy's eyes darted toward the screen, and I caught a flicker of panic across his face. That was the first time he looked truly afraid. The deputy stepped between us, asked him again who sent him. The guy stayed silent this time. The tension grew thicker. The deputy radioed for backup. That's when Karen suddenly started yelling again, this time, not at us, but toward the woods behind the cabin. "Hey, who's that?" "Hey." We all turned. Someone was moving back there. Just a glimpse of a dark figure slipping between the trees. The deputy rushed to the door, hand on his holster, while I stayed frozen in place, my eyes glued to the back window. Whoever was in those woods wasn't supposed to be there, and it wasn't the guy in my cabin. That meant someone else was involved. Someone we hadn't seen yet. The entire situation had just shifted. We weren't alone, and whatever this was, it was bigger than just a mistaken rental. The deputy bolted out the door toward the woods, yelling commands into the trees. Karen, for once, fell completely silent, backing up toward her porch with wide eyes. I moved to the back window, straining to see through the branches, but the figure had vanished. The man inside the cabin, who still hadn't given a straight answer, was pacing now, mumbling under his breath like he knew something was about to blow up. The silence that followed felt heavy. Then, out of nowhere, my phone buzzed. An email. From Mar. The rental platform. It was a booking confirmation for my cabin, dated yesterday, and it wasn't for me. The name on the reservation. Same guy standing in my living room. But the email it was tied to wasn't his. It was one I recognized. It belonged to the previous renter, the one who had left early. Suddenly, it all connected in the worst way. The last guest had used my property as part of something bigger. He'd given someone else access, forged a fake reservation under a real account. And now it looked like I was the one double booking my own cabin. But why? Before I could show the deputy, the man inside turned to me, panicked. "You don't get it. They're coming back." He said I'd be gone by now, he promised. I wasn't supposed to be here when they showed up. My heart dropped. Who's coming back? He hesitated, eyes darting to the window. The ones who left the laptop. They're not just watching you. They're watching everyone who rents this place. That's when we heard the low hum of an engine slow, deliberate approaching from the side trail no one should be using. Karen screamed something unintelligible and ran inside her house, slamming the door. And just like that, it was no longer about a stranger in my cabin. Something else was unfolding, something way darker. The unmarked SUV rolled into view slowly, headlights off, tires crunching over gravel. The deputy raised his hand and shouted commands, but the vehicle didn't stop until it was halfway up the drive. Then, just as suddenly, it reversed hard, kicked up dirt, and peeled off down the trail, a gang gone before anyone could react. The deputy called for backup immediately, but by the time more units arrived, the woods were silent again. Inside the cabin, the man finally started talking. His name was Joel. He admitted the previous renter had offered him a place to crash. No questions asked, in exchange for letting someone store files in the cabin for a few days. Joel thought it was shady, but he was broke and desperate. He never expected things to spiral like this. The laptop, the cameras, the fake reservation, it was all part of a bigger scheme involving stolen identities and illegal surveillance operations run through rental properties. Investigators later confirmed it. My cabin had been used as a drop-point temporary hub for moving digital files without drawing attention. Karen, for once, had unintentionally helped by calling the cops. Her noisy interference actually scared off whoever was supposed to pick up that laptop. The rental company worked with the authorities and traced the fake account back to an international ring tied to similar scams in other remote vacation spots. My place had been one of many. After everything, I changed all my locks, set up my own security system, and stopped renting out the cabin for a while. It's strange how a peaceful getaway can become the center of something so unexpected. In the end, the real lesson: trust your instincts. Sometimes coming back early isn't just good timing, it might just save you from something you never saw coming.